Hare Krishna, everyone. We'll get started.
हरे कृष्ण
हरे
माताजी।
Hare Krishna. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे। नानाशास्त्रविचारिणैकनिपनौ सद्धर्मसंस्थापकौ लोकानां हितकारिणौ त्रिभुवने मन्यौ शरण्याकरौ राधाकृष्णपदारविन्दभजना आन्देन मत्तालिकौ वन्दे रूपसनातनौ रघुयुगौ श्रीजीवगोपालकौ। I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are observed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. So we are continuing with our study of Shri Upadesha Amrita. We finished last week, we started with and we concluded the preface and the first verse, which is, anybody remembers what is the first verse?
वाचोवेगं
Yes.
मनसा क्रोधवेगं जीववेगं उदरोपस्थवेगं यतान्वेगानि विषयत धीरः सर्वम् अपि मां पृथ्वीं शशिष्यात्।
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So we have concluded that verse, which is quick overview. Six urges which are unfavorable for bhakti are Vacha Vegam, Manasa Vegam, and Krodha. Vacha Vegam, which comprises of um, that which is done with the tongue. Manasa and Krodha are with the mind. And Udara, Jiva, Udara, and Upastha are with the body. And these are the ways in which we become controlless. The urges become very uncontrollable. And what is the remediation for that? The process of controlling the urges is to speak Krishna Katha, think of Krishna, use the urge of anger only against the offenders of the Lord and the Lord's devotees, eat only Krishna Prasadam, observe fasting and other Ekadashi days, and beget children in Krishna consciousness. So that's what we have learned. Now moving on to the next verse, which is verse 2. Read the verse from the book. अत्याहारा प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रह जनसंगश्च लौल्यं च षड्भिर्भक्ति विनश्यति. One's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following six activities. 1. Eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. 2. Over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 4. 3. Talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4. Practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and following independently or whimsically. 5. Associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6, being greedy for mundane achievements. So that's the verse and its translation. So there are 6 impediments in sadhana bhakti, such as atyahara, eating more than required. Then we have prayasa, endeavoring to get to do atyahara. Prajalpa is talking mundane subjects, unnecessary. Just like croaking of the frog. What does the croaking of the frog imply? It will invite its death because it is sending the address to the frog, to the snake. Niyamagraha. There are 2 things. Niyama plus agraha and niyama plus agraha. Niyama plus agraha means accepting too enthusiastically something just so that because we can get some benefit out of it. That is niyama agraha, like accepting only for the sake of benefiting something. Niyama agraha is rejecting it, thinking that, oh, this is very ordinary. Jalasanga is associating with materialistic persons not interested in bhakti. Laulyam is greed for mundane achievements. So these are the Shadbir, the 6. Bhaktir Vinashyati. They spoil the bhakti. That's the overview. Now, Prabhupada right away starts in the purport that human life is meant for plain living and high thinking. Since all conditioned living beings are under the control of Lord's third energy, this material world is designed that one is obliged to work. So there are Krishna's energies that are in play all the time, constantly. The 3 energies of the Supreme Lord are Antaranga Shakti, which is the internal energy, Tatastha Shakti, which is marginal, where all the living entities are in the Tatastha Shakti of the Lord, because they can come under the Antaranga Shakti, or they can be under the Bahiranga Shakti as well. So Bahiranga Shakti is external, Maya. So the living entities who are the Tatashta can be Mahatmas and Duratmas. Mahatmas are those who are taking Daivi, what is that verse from 913? Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritimashrata. Bhajanti anyanya manaso gyatva bhutadi mayayam. This is where Radharani's internal potency, we learned that from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, that this is where the Mahatmas take the internal potency of the Lord, and they are also Tatashta, but because they are able to take the internal potency or internal energy of the Lord, taking the shelter of the internal energy of the Lord, they are called as Mahatmas. Those who take the Lord's external energy, shelter of external energy, they are Duratmas. We have known that from our Bhagavad Gita study, there are 4 Duratmas also. Anybody knows that verse?
Which was it related to Mataji? Can you please repeat?
Duratmas from Bhagavad Gita.
Is 7.115 Mataji, like the Nardamas, the Muddas?
Yeah, say the verse.
The verse I don't remember, Mataji, but I do remember the verse number and the items. Vigyam Prabhu, maybe you remember the verse? 7:15.
You can look for
Tamam
it.
Can you look it
కూడా
up?
పొద్దున్న ఆరాధమ మాయాపరిత జ్ఞానం ఆశ్చర్యం భావం ఆశ్రిత
How is it starting?
నమాం దుష్కృతినం కూడా
Namam Drashvitana Moda Prapadyante Naradama Maya Aparata Jnana Asurim Bhavamashita. Those are the Dushkrutas, Duratmas. We are not going to discuss that verse here, but you can refer 7:15 Bhagavad Gita. Then Bahiranga Shakti are external Maya, where there are so the Bahiranga Shakti is external energy comprising of 3 kleshas: Adi Daivika Klesha, Adi Bhautika Klesha, and Adhyatmika Klesha. Adi Daivika Klesha, any examples?
Natural disasters.
Say that again. Nitaji.
Natural disasters.
Yeah. The kleshas means suffering. Klesha created by natural disasters, like famine, earthquake, COVID, like that. Then Adi Bhautika is caused by other living entities, which is like other humans inflicting pain on the others, and also the animals inflicting pain on humans, and humans inflicting pain on animals as well. Then Adhyatmika is that which is caused by mind, one's own mind, where depression, anxiety, such things. So in the initial stages of bhakti process, the material proclivities are prominent in the sadhakas. Materialism is very prominent because the sadhakas have just taken up the process of devotional service, and it is prone to be mixed at that stage. So they are unable to subdue the six urges described in the first verse. Six urges, Vachuvegam, Manasa, Krodha Vegam, that verse. Consequently, many other tendencies harmful to develop bhakti in the hearts of the sadhakas. These are described in the second verse. So, Rupa Goswami is giving some steps for us, logical steps. We can reach all the way to Bhava Bhakti, Prema Bhakti. But starting at the root, grassroots level, which is to stop the urges, control, not stop, control the urges. So if we don't control the urges, there are some unfavorable things that will manifest, which is this verse, which is we just read. Atyahara, Prayasa, Prajalpa, Niyamagraha, Janasanga, Laulyam, and yeah, that is 6. So what is Atyahara? We'll go into the depth of Atyahara. Atyahara, so in the first verse, can anybody relate to this particular term? Can be closely related to some other term in the first verse?
Udar Vegam and Jiva Vegam.
Yeah, Jibba, to be more precise, Jibba Vegam, because Jibba is the tongue, urge to eat. Atyahara is, what do you think of Atyahara as a first definition? Something that we eat a lot, right? Atyahara. So, Ahara, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that it is not just by eating. Because now introducing a definition which can be same, of the same nature, in the verse 1 and verse 2, Rupa Goswami wouldn't have made that mistake. Because it's redundant. You already provide that information in verse 1, and then in the second verse also you're talking about the same thing. It's redundant. Rupa Goswami in his 11 verses, he wouldn't do that. So there is more to this word Atyahara. Atyahara means it is collecting more than necessary for all the senses, not just for the tongue. For the eyes, for the tongue, for the ears, for the touch, everything. Atyahara means excessive enjoyment with all the senses. Jibba Vegam was for specifically for the tongue, eating more palatable dishes. That was more specific to the tongue. Atyahara is for all the other senses. So ati means too much or excessive. Ahara means to grab or to consume, to seize, for enjoyment. So atyahara means excessive enjoyment in the sense of the sense objects through any one of the senses, and the endeavor to accumulate in excess of one's requirements. That is atyahara. Devotees should not accumulate worldly goods like materialists. So right away, the answer also is there. The devotees should not accumulate a lot of goods like materialists. So the examples that we have with us who are accumulating a lot is Bhuktikamis. Who are Bhuktikamis? They want to have material enjoyment, so they acquire material possessions excessively. Muktikamis, they desire liberation by merging in the existence of the Lord, and when that becomes excessive, that is Brahma. That is the Muktikamis. Siddhikamis, excessive desire for perfection of mystic yoga, are classified as Atyaharis. Siddhi, they want to achieve the Siddha, so that they are sitting in one place, then they go to some other place to get you like an apple or something, or to exhibit some potency that they can stand in the air or walk on the water, something like that. So those are the Siddhis. And what are they doing? Just to satisfy themselves, to show off, display their potencies. And so that is Siddhikamis. Materialists, excessive gathering of scientific knowledge or money or anything, any excess. Okay. So, and how does this manifest in the bhaktas? Okay, we'll come to that. You can think from now until another place we will going to recite that. So think about how devotees exhibit atyahara in their life. Now, animals if you look at animals, they do not eat or collect more than they need. So they have no scarcity. So there is no scarcity of food in the animal kingdom because they only eat whatever is necessary for them for that day. There's no economic problem also. Example is the bag of a rice that is kept on the street, for example. The birds only take a few grains and fly away. Whereas human beings eat as much as necessary and take and fill their bags, and in some cases, they can even take the whole bag itself. So that's how the human beings operate. So people accept and religion for material prosperity. So this is all the forms of atyahara, collecting more than we require, like excessive the newspapers, like this article, that article, read this news channels, which is abundantly available for us. Gather this information from this news channel, that information from there, and be up to date. And social media. Social media is so prominent that we excessively are on social media and watching many things, materialistic things, as well as um, putting there also matter on the social media. That is all forms of different atyaharas. And in some cases, the atyahara also, the religion is used for the tendency in the humans of atyahara is being leveraged by some unscrupulous people to do mass conversions into different faiths. That is also there. Because what are they alluring people on? To give them some material comforts like food, money, and some, yeah, exactly, food and some clothing and some money. So that is when one is overly indulged, like I already have some, but I want to make it little more by getting this extra from there. The only thing I have to pay a price is change my faith. What is the problem? I can do it. So that's what people taking advantage, these unscrupulous people taking advantage of this tendency in humans of atyahara, over collecting, and they're converting into their different ways. So yeah, probably we'll skip that verse. So how does a Krishna person engage his senses? Atyahari. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, as per Bhagavad Gita 5, 8, and 9. So how do we engage our senses? Is it even possible to abnegate our senses? How do we engage in a Krishna conscious person? A person, the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all, because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or closing his eyes, he always know that only the material senses are engaged with their objects, and that is aloof from them. This is Bhagavad Gita. So that is how the senses have, as we become mature, or a yogi becomes mature in his practices of Krishna consciousness. These things are part, because the body is yantra, it's a machine, it has to operate, it has to go through certain things of feeding the fuel. Like even the machine also goes through that, right? You give it fuel, then it will operate. Otherwise, if it won't, it will stop. And then you need to rest it. So similarly, the body is nothing but a machine. You will see that in the upcoming chapter. You would have seen that. Yantra Rura and Maya. Which chapter was that? Bhagavad Gita. Last section. Jnana section.
18,
18.
1861,
Chapter.
Yeah. What is the verse?
1861, I guess. Verse to check.
So body is like a machine. So it has to go through some things, like because we have senses, we have to see, hear, touch, smell, eat, sleep, breathe. All these are, so a person who becomes mature in his practices, these are natural things that have to happen, but he is indifferent. He is indifferent to these things. So that is how we have to eat. Aharam is important, but ati aharam is not recommended. Aharam is required. So aharam is eating. So, and then Krishna conscious person also does not reject anything, because that vairagyam, or that we have to be yukta vairagis, not just vairagis. Vairagi is that person who employs objects suitable for devotional development while remaining detached. for them is suitable for bhakti. That the object should be persistently related to Krishna. So, anasaktasya vishayan yathartham upayunjata nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagya muchate. This is what Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.255 has said. You will also be reading this book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, some of the verses coming up front. Anasaktasya vishayan. So, not having an ashakti is to have attachment, anashakti, without on any objects. Yatarham upayunja. But understanding that their relevance to Krishna, because everything came from Krishna, you won't reject anything like that. So that is a yukta vairagi. We need to be yukta vairagis. So renunciants are forbidden to accumulate material goods, and relating to the first verse. So if you renounce those material things, then you become Goswami by controlling the overwhelming passion for speech, anger, mind, tongue, belly, and genitals. So that is how you are controlling your senses, and you are not indulging in atyahara. So grihasthas, it is important, grihasthas have to acquire some wealth for the maintenance of their body as well as for contributing to the society. So they have to get sufficient foods for their maintenance, and they can keep it for some emergency purpose, because that's important, because they are maintaining the other four orders also. They are contributing to the society. So they will have some things in excess. It is not just today only I'll get whatever is required for today, I'll finish it up. Tomorrow I'll worry about it. It's not like that. So grihasthas have some funds in excess so that they can maintain themselves and also their surroundings, or their other three ashrams. So yeah, coming back to the same question, how does it manifest in devotee's life? Atyahara. Very relevant for all of us.
Name, fame, prestige, searching for that, and
What is it, Prabhu?
seeking after name, fame, or engaging in such way.
Seeking name, fame, yes.
Eating excess prasadam.
Okay. Preaching.
Eating excess prasadam, Mataji.
Yes, eating excess prasadam. Yeah, that also was the Jiva and Udara.
Could
But
we
yeah,
also
thinking that we have to cook because it is palatable dishes for Krishna, and then we are eating that on a regular basis. For Sunday feast and festivals, it is required that we do opulent prasadam, but not on a regular basis. Regularly, it has to be simple, only on festivals, because it is we are doing celebration. Yes. Someone said something?
Could we also say, Mataji, if you, for instance, you already have in the Grihastha ashram, you have a decent home, but you want a lavish home, you want things that are much better. So that's also attachment, unless you use it in the service of the Lord. But if you do it for your own sense gratification, then that is also atyahara.
Yeah. You can open up your home for propagating Krishna consciousness, teaching activities, then that becomes Yukta Vairagya, but otherwise it becomes Atyahara. What else? It can be in the form of, yes.
Sorry, I have a question. Like, I mean, it can be a question, or can it be like if there were like mukti something, who desire
Kami.
excess liberation, and uh, to merge in the Lord. But for devotees, if there is kind of excess desire for liberation and going to the Lord, Golok, then is that Atyahara or what?
So devotee's perspective for liberation has to be wherever Krishna wants us to be. We cannot say we want to go back to Godhead. In the sense that is our desire to be in the association of Krishna, to serve him. But the highest principle in this regard would be to serve him wherever we are. If we are given a mission to preach, then we will be in a material world to preach the glories of the Lord. Just like Prabhupada. He is a Vaikunthavasi, but he has come down to preach the Krishna consciousness. So for him, it doesn't matter whether he was in the material world or in the spiritual world. His consciousness was Vaikuntha. So like that. So one has to get to that point, like wherever you want me to preach, wherever you want me to, as long as I'm in your service.
So if that excess desire is there, then that is
We
counted
need
as
to have the right desire. For devotee, we need to what is the right way to approach this particular principle is to be understood. But if you are hung up on that, then what is the cause for that? So that you don't want to become entangled. You want to enjoy. If if it is driven by the enjoying potency, then it becomes atyahara. Yeah.
Hmm.
Is
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Mataji, can I add something?
Yeah.
Mataji, I feel that sometimes, like it's tempting. I know in my case, I've had to like work on this. It's like if you like take more and more classes or do more and more service, but then there is no time to sit and contemplate, or there isn't the same amount of attention and love is not given to your malas because time ultimately is limited or you've got responsibilities at home. So to be able to balance that and to know when to step back, without really caring about what others are doing.
Yeah. Like attending many classes. Like I heard this lecture from this speaker, another speaker, jumping from one lecture to the other, just to accumulate what? Accumulate information and validating
Right.
whether this person said this point in this way or the other person said the point in that way. Are they corroborating? Who is the best speaker? Like that kind is not recommended for a devotee. Stick to a speaker, hear from them, learn from them. You will make so much progress by doing that, actually. And it's very important. Like if you have some favorite speakers, keep it to that and go. But then if you are totally going from one lecture to the other, one program to the other, oh, they've invited this program, that, like, it's constant. For devotees, it's constant. Yes, Mataji.
I don't know if I should just talk or if I should raise my hand.
You have your raise hand reason, so I would have come to you. Yeah.
Yes, no, I just didn't know because people were just talking. So isn't Atyahara, my understanding of it is that it's not it's the practice of excessive enjoyment beyond one's needs, really in sense gratification. It could be a million different things. It's just whatever your sense gratification is, you're having excessive enjoyment. And so that's what Atyahara would be in the sense, because Pratyahara is withdrawal of the senses. Atyahara is too much of the senses, right? Really
Right.
getting too stimulated, right?
Yeah. Right. It's with all the senses, not just for eating. Yeah. With all, like hearing. Just now, for hearing is to speaking, and speaking also. Like, and devotees want to preach, so they want to have so many things available so that what is the purpose of preaching? To get some name, fame, like I'm a great speaker. That is one way of Atyahara. But this is how it manifests very subtly in the devotees. This is what we need to be careful of. Yes.
I was just going to say, and somebody mentioned this before. I think the girl who spoke before me spoke about like trying to learn so much that you really don't have any time to absorb it, so that if I see you, I can say, oh, verse 24, 27 from the Bhagavad Gita is, and I just I can just say it. But do I really know what it means? Am I practicing it? Is it something that's really part of my bhakti, right? Is that what you're talking? Is that what you're speaking of?
Yes, yes, yeah. Hearing so much that you want to learn and show off, something like that, not for the purpose of purification or internalization. Yes, Shalini, you have anything to say on this point?
Yeah, quickly, Mataji, I was a little bit confused between Atyahara and Prayasa because Prayasa is also over endeavoring. So, over endeavoring could also apply in a devotee's life, but I think are we lumping everything under Atyahara? How do we differentiate?
Prabhupada has actually, if you read the purport, Prabhupada comes across these points in different ways throughout the purport, if you have read the purport. So, this Atyahara is over accumulation. And over accumulation what is the natural thing that will happen? That will lead to the next verse. Natural thing that will happen by doing over accumulation is over endeavor. Because we have tendency to accumulate more, then we do the prayasa, endeavor to get more. So that is natural. You have a question, Priyanka Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. I just wanted to understand, engaging in the Grahastha life is also Atyahara?
No, it is not. But over endeavoring anything, like accumulating
Yeah.
more in the
I
name of Grahastha. Like I have $1 million, but I'm going for $2 million, for example, because for that I have to work very hard, right?
So, Mataji, especially in Grahastha life, how do we know what is excessive? How do we understand that?
Very good question. So that is when you are, so we always have 3-point check, Guru Sadhu Shastra.
Mm-hmm.
So that is one way to check. And then how much time are you spending to acquiring this? Are you enough? Are you satisfied with what you have, or you are trying to get more? What is your requirement? And how
Got
are
it.
you going to get to that requirement? Like getting one job is good enough for you, 9 to 5, and then the rest of the time, Krishna consciousness, taking care of the family or sadhana, or you want to do another jobs to get more. So it depends one person to person. So it's a generic, it cannot be generalized to everyone in one statement. So that is why we have the 3-point chart, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. You have Guru to tell you what you have to do. Shastra anyway is telling that you have to only get so much that is required. Sadhu is when you will communicate and ask them, is this
Mhm.
what I'm going on the right track? That is 3-point check.
Got it. Okay.
We can take the
Thank you.
questions later on also. We are already, yes, Mataji, is quickly.
Quick comment is one of the easiest ways that you see in the material world with everybody is I'm going to rent a storage locker to keep all of my excess things in a storage locker because they won't fit in my home. So,
Very good. Yeah.
right?
Yes. How much of garbage that you have? Sorry, but so many unused things at home that we have it there in our shelves for years and years. So it's recommended that on a yearly basis we take a tour of the home and see how many things we have used in last 1 year. All these things. If we have used them at least once, maybe there is some usage. If not, then it is just sitting there and occupying the real estate. So we need to see how we can minimize. Important things are there, like you might not even come to use them, like some of the things like electric that are used for plumbing or some electrical work, which will be there important, but definitely the lot of clothes, lot of things around like that, you can take a look, take a stop. So that leads into prayasa. Okay. So prayasa is unnecessary endeavor. Atyahara causes prayasa naturally, automatically. The cultivation of knowledge by jnanis, the austerities and vows undertaken by karmis, and the hard labor of ambitious materialists are all examples of prayasa. And the worst kind of prayasa, as quoted by Srila Rupa Sanatana Goswami in Haribhakti Vilas, is desire for fame. If one is aspiring for the desire for fame, then that is prayasa. That's worst kind. So, in the purport, you have seen some of the points like economic problems and solutions. The prayasa will happen. What do we individuals need? We only need land and cows. Means anyone can live peacefully with some land for producing grains, a cow that gives milk. There is no need to move from one place to another to earn a livelihood. So, we now don't have to do excessive prayasa. Like what is enough for us, if we can be satisfied with what we have naturally. If we are in a village setting, a cow and some land, and produce the grains and be satisfied rather than migrate to a city to earn more. So the capitalist tendency in this is to get more wealth, accumulate wealth more than needed. And the communist mentality is because they are envious of the capitalists, they try to make everything as nationalized. That is also not solving the problems. So does economic problem continue when there is a people desire for sense gratification? Because everyone wants to get their idea out. Capitalist wants their idea, communist wants their idea. So the best is the examples that Prabhupada has quoted by giving the $100 bill on the street. The one person may put it in his pocket if he sees the $100 bill. But the best thing is to, one may not touch it, thinking it is not mine, because it belongs to someone. So that is also not the right thing. The best thing is to find the right person, owner of that person, and hand it over to him. So that is honest and wise. So communism is putting everything in one pocket. Capitalism. Communists is like they want to say it doesn't belong to you. So does it belong to you? Like they want to nationalize thinking, and like that some things become neglected. And what is a Krishna conscious person does? Find the right owner and give it. And some of the other points that Prabhupada quotes is don't encroach upon others' rights. All wealth belongs to Krishna. By this complete arrangement, the world is designed to fulfill all the necessities of all jivas who have the birthright to use this property for their real needs. So we have birthright. What is the birthright to use? We are the rightful descendants of the Lord's property, but not in excess. So the Ishavasa principle, which is in the Ishopanishad first verse, Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena taktena bunjita magrida kasya sviddana. Means everyone who knows the art of scientifically utilizing God's property, they will not encroach on others' property because they know they have a quota. They no longer encroach upon others' right because they have, each one of us have a quota on what we are entitled to get for us. So if we can understand, then we won't indulge in that. If we don't indulge in it, we won't indulge in prayasa, and automatically there won't be atyahara. So we need to know that we have a quota in life that we get, and we are rightful enjoyer of that because it is all God's property. We are all the rightful, we have the birthright, like what Prabhupada is. All wealth belongs to Krishna. By complete arrangement, this world is designed to fulfill the necessities of all the jivas who have a birthright to use his property for their real needs. So we all have the need, and we all have a right as well. As much as we need, we are eligible or entitled. If we encroach upon it, then that becomes atyahara, and that leads to prayers. So the thief, one who takes more than required, is a thief and is liable to be punished by the laws of karma. So once you start encroaching, then it becomes a criminal act, and then automatically you will be punished for that on the laws of nature. So many disastrous things will come upon by doing prayasa unnecessarily. And it all starts with atyahara. In the same purport, there are right utility of human life. Human life is meant for simple living and high thinking, but some feel that plain living with basic necessities is a primitive way of life. Right? They think it is, devotees are living very austere life, or pessimism also on the top of it. Not only basic, but pessimistic. We always think about death that is impending. And they talk about this, how to attain. Talking about death itself is pessimism, is what they say. But is it pessimism, or is it realism? We're being realistic. So death is imminent for everyone. And if we can be prepared for it, why not? Everyone is preparing for so many things. When it's something that is imminent, we can be prepared even more. Higher intelligence is given to human beings for God realization, to understand one's relationship with God and to develop love for God by following dharma for religious instructions, the laws of God. So higher intelligence for everyone is given so that we develop the love of God, make plans to realize, to know about God and know the scriptures. Prayasa. For some men misuse their intelligence to possess unnecessary amenities like slaughterhouses, brothels, and liquor shops. That's prayasa. Dharma. What is dharma? In this verse only Prabhupada quotes. Dharmasya hi apavargasya narto nartaya kalpate nartasya dharmaikantasya kamo lavaya hesmati. So the real dharma is actually meant for a liberation, ultimate liberation, and not for any material prosperity, atyahara, or sense gratification. So that is 129, Srimad Bhagavatam. Without religion, human society is no better than animal society. So true religion is what it instructs people to be satisfied with bare necessities of life while cultivating Krishna consciousness. So Jivasya Tatya Jignasa is real purpose of life to endeavor prayasa. So what prayasa can devotees do? That will come under the Jivasya Tatya Jignasa, Tattva Jignasa. So what devotees can do as prayasa is what devotees do in their life for developing their Krishna consciousness is that coming under prayasa? Because devotees are also endeavoring, right? They are attending classes. They are taking pains to make their life shifts so that they can dedicate some time. At some time, it can be at the cost of many things that they have to balance, sometimes job, sometimes health, family. They have to balance and sometimes do some sacrifices. So are they endeavoring? Are they doing prayasa?
That would be devotional service.
So it is recommended for devotees to do this.
But that would depend also, right? Like as we were discussing before, if someone is over endeavoring for say services or something, then that can come under prayasa, but otherwise all of these activities are devotional service.
Yes.
Is done.
So this kind of endeavor to learn subject about Krishna and to endeavor to make progress in Krishna consciousness is Jivasya Tattva Jignasa. It's the real purpose of life, to endeavor, to inquire about the Supreme Absolute Truth. Without that, it will simply endeavor to satisfy artificial needs. Again, then knowing that we are not doing it for some ulterior motive of getting name, fame, and fortune. If we are doing this so that I can get good name in the devotee circles that I am a Bhakti Shastri, I'm a Bhakti Vaibhav degree holder, if that is your motivation, then that is materialistic motivation. That comes under prayasa and atyahara. Your endeavors will become prayasa and you're already indulging in atyahara. But if your endeavor is to develop genuine Krishna consciousness and to develop love for Godhead, then that is required. It is Jivasya Tattva Jignasa. It is important that we do that. So in devotional service, as much as the activities are important, their motives are also important equally. If you do something to gain something for material purpose, then that is, even though that is on the spiritual path, then that is ill-motivated. Okay, materialists who have neither faith in God's plan nor his laws, nor any higher spiritual aspirations, misuse their God-given intelligence to augment their material possessions. That's what materialists do. Always anxious to their unlimited desires for self gratification, they exploit their fellow living beings. Karmis work hard to accumulate more and more money for future generations because they do not know their position in the next life. So the Karmis, Prabhupada tells the story of a cobbler who was a wealthy person in his previous life and became a cobbler in the next life. And he goes to his old house that he has built, where his children and grandchildren are living. When he goes, he is beaten with the shoes because they don't know. So the Karmi didn't know that he will become a cobbler in the next life and be beaten up by his own people. So Karmis, they don't know the reason for which they are doing this. So if we know that we are endeavoring something to accumulate so that our future generations can propagate in Krishna consciousness or do some preaching, then that is recommended. So unless the karmis and gyanis become interested in Krishna consciousness, they will simply continue to waste their lives in fruitive activities. Okay, so that is prayasa. I hope you got. So how do we learn that answer? How do we distinguish if prayasa is for Krishna or for one's own self or for over endeavoring? We went through that. So you can also think what all you are doing. Is it coming under prayasa? And is it atyahara? Then you can always look at it from the lens of the Shastra, Shastra Chakshu, as well as Guru, approach a Guru and ask them, as well as check with a Sadhu if you are in the association of one. Okay. Now Prajalpa. Prajalpa is unnecessary talking. Okay, let's go through this only. Prajalpa means to waste one's time and energy in useless mundane walks, and in cultivating or gossiping useless mundane talks, and in criticizing or gossiping about others. It is like the sound of a croaking toads. So examples of Prajalpa are dry scholarship that amounts to nothing more than useless scriptural arguments. Philosophers are, dry speculation, continuously giving some dry speculation when the Shastra is concluding the truth, but going on with their analysis. That is Prajalpa. Karmis praise the benefits of pious deeds and generate fondness for religious principles. So they are interested, someone has become successful. So when they start contemplating on their success, they also want to become like them. Then they do things that will help them to get to like that. So that is Karmi's way of doing. Vikarma's a materialist talks about that pleasing to the senses of those who have material desires. Newspapers, magazines, novels Prabhupada gives, crossword puzzles, playing cards, fishing, television, debate on useless socio-political schemas, useless talks, arguments, gossip, debate, fault finding, blaspheming devotees. All these are Prajalpa. And the highest of that is offending the devotee and the holy name of the Lord, which is Hatimata. We have seen that example. When a mad elephant enters the garden, it destroys the whole garden from the roots. So that is, if you indulge in blaspheming devotees, it is the offense to the holy name because they are propagating the holy name, devotees. Okay. On Srimad Bhagavatam's perspective, even indulging in praising or criticizing others' qualities and behaviors, you will be deviated from your best interest. That is what in Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Lord Krishna tells to Uddhava. We think that glorifying someone's qualities is good, pointing out what they have done, but indulging in that much on others' qualities so much also is not recommended. This is Uddhava Gita. Krishna tells to Uddhava. Okay. Is all Prajalpa unfavorable? What about the talk that we talk in the regarding Krishna? Oh, Krishna is, so what is Prajalpa in your opinion? Like anything that is mundane. Talking about Krishna's dress, is it mundane? Radharani's deity's dress, is it mundane? He's wearing peacock in this way, that way. Today's decoration of deities is very nice. Is that Prajalpa?
I think anything that takes you away from Krishna is Prajalpa. Anything that takes you away from devotional service, that's not conducive to that. That could be classified as Prajalpa.
Right. So Danakeli Chintamani is Raghunath Das Goswami. He has written a book which is the tax collection pastime. If you read that book, it is, I haven't read, but I've heard. So when you hear about it, it is all about how Krishna is teasing the gopis and extracting tax from them. So on one sense, it looks like Prajalpa, like you have used my place, you give me the tax collector, he becomes, right? So that's the Danakeli Chintamani. So that is Krishna Katha. Talking anything about Krishna's dress, flute, his ornaments, anything that is Krishna-centric that can enhance our devotion or our absorption on his lotus feet is Krishna Katha, and that is not Prajalpa. Even Radharani's talk to Bumblebee, she becomes very incoherent and speaks because she's overwhelmed in Krishna's separation, and she's talking in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, 47th chapter, 12th verse. And so what do we do when we indulge in Prajalpa? First of all, tell me. Answer already here, but what do we do? Two people are talking Prajalpa, what do we do?
Take rasa in that talk
Okay, you want to take rasa in that talk when they're doing prajalpa?
Also, I think if you like, if I come up to people that are talking about, oh, did you see that shirt she's wearing? Like, kind of gossiping. Sometimes I mean, it's not for me to really say what they should do. So oftentimes just withdraw myself.
Hmm.
And if I know the person well enough, I might say, wow, like I would say it away from people and say, we should have a better conversation. But if I
Yeah,
don't know the person, I'm staying away and I'm just going on my way.
yes. So we don't indulge. We don't take interest. So if we are automatically pulled into some conversation that's happening, we don't perk up our antennas and understand more and derive some pleasure out of it. We become uninterested. That happens from time to time. We become unnecessarily pulled into some conversation. Someone is telling something about someone. We don't become interested. We don't take rasa. We don't take taste in that talk. Although we become implicated in it. Unless we want to get implicated. But if we are somehow gotten pulled into it, then you can walk away and not become part of that conversation. But if you become, then you don't take interest. You don't take rasa, taste in that. So
Sorry, Mataji, I misunderstood the question. It
it was
wasn't meant
exactly
to be
opposite, yeah.
suspicious.
So
Yeah, I took it opposite. Sorry.
no worries, yeah, I understood. So you don't take interest in that talk and you move away from that. So if we must talk, we should talk about Krishna. That is the um, bottom line. We have to talk about Krishna. Anything too specific to Krishna, Krishna's dress, pastimes of Krishna. Just speak about that in your day-to-day interactions. Yes, Priyanka?
Mataji, quick thing. Yes, there are times wherein Prajalpa happens and we should avoid ourselves 100%. But there are times wherein, we are not able to avoid ourselves. What do we do in those situations? Generally, what has started happening for me is I internally start chanting the Mahamantra because I want to avoid myself. But what's the best way to avoid Prajalpa if you're not able to eliminate yourself from that situation?
If you are not able to, then don't take interest in it. Like you can chant Mama. First of all, to safeguard ourselves because our faith is very fragile to start off. Like we can be easily uh, get affected by things that are happening around us. So the first and foremost things of ourselves is to safeguard our own little creeper of devotion. Save it. Like how there is a small plant, how you put some things around it so without from these birds and squirrels, how you
Yeah.
safeguard. Similarly, we have to safeguard our own devotion. First of all, that should be our motive. Okay, I'm getting to know all this, but what should I do if I get impacted by this? If I get affected, my chanting will go bad. I'll be thinking about it, and slowly it will start showing up in my sadhana. So then that is very good to avoid. Safeguard. You are the first most person who you should be interested in to safeguard your own feelings, and yeah, that's how you have to go. Don't take interest in it. Don't contemplate on it.
Got it. Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, Palak.
Debbie Mataji raised her hand before me. She can go ahead.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
Thank
Debbie?
you, Mataji. I have a question, Mataji. Because we have associations of those that are not devotees, sometimes they speak about the Lord and devotees differently. So that ends up being prajalpa. So you might try and change their opinion or share what you know, or is it better to avoid those conversations? I wanted to ask you that.
Depends on the relationship of the person that you have with. If you're a close family member, you have a relationship, you can influence them. Try to tell them in a way that they can understand. If not, if you don't have enough relationship with them to put your perspective forth, then whatever you will say, it will go in a negative way. So first of all, don't get into that conversation with people that you are not comfortable with to share your own opinions. So that way you don't have to get to this point. Keep it very generic to the people who have no much influence. You don't have influence on. The talk should be very generic rather than coming to something about God. What is the point of bringing them to, or somehow they are in that talk? You eliminate yourself from that discussion. because they are not related. You're not so much of under their influence, or they're not your family members or relatives or friends. You can eliminate yourself easily. But if your friends, non-devotee friends, colleagues like that, you don't bring this kind of conversation only in your talk. Unless you think you can make a change in their, you can influence yourself on them.
Thank you, Mataji.
With family members, it's a different. Again, if you have a relationship with them, you can tell them, and you think they will listen, then go for it. Yes, Nudala? Oh, sorry, Palak.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So Mataji, the question is, we covered friends, we covered family, but what about office? Canada is a country of small talk, and I am a manager. So being a manager, I have to show so much interest in people so that at the end I can get my work done. It's such a conflict. I can see myself doing random talk. It makes no sense, but you have to do it. Should I consider it as a part of my dharma or what?
You're doing is, see, whatever is required for us to keep our work intact, we have to do. Because we haven't given up our life and become renunciates yet, right? So whatever is required for us to do, you do. But don't take rasa in it. You have to do it as part of your duty so that things get done, which is also part of your duty to get the things done as a manager. When you indulge in as much as it is necessary for your duty, as much as it is necessary. If you start taking interest and carry it in your heart, and then that becomes you're getting involved.
Yes.
Okay. Mridula?
Hare Krishna Mataji. I have this kind of, I don't know, like we are like kind of bringing to the understanding, or like we should see Krishna in everybody, right? Like we should, but at the same time we are trying to protect our faith. Where in the other way we are trying to create opinions that this person is saying so and so, this person is such and such, right? So how do we manage this kind of deflecting thoughts that the same time protecting our faith, we're kind of creating opinion that this person does unnecessary talk and we need to not, like, and this person is not interested in Krishna, like something like that. So, but another way we see every other soul as a Krishna soul, right? Like, how do we manage this thought or this kind of situation?
So this point came up in a Bhagavad Gita studies also. How do we look at people? We
Yeah.
look at people through how they're operating under different modes. We don't judge them. Having an opinion for yourself is not that bad. If you put it across to them and see, when you're having an opinion about a person, you're many things you're doing. One thing is you're safeguarding your own interest, your own faith, because our faith is so fragile, it can become implicated, can become affected by someone else's influence. Like it can show up in your sadhana. Then you will safeguard yourself. That's your primary duty, to safeguard your own bhakti creeper. Okay. And coming to having opinion on people, you, to the extent that it won't affect you, you can have opinions so that you you won't say you won't reveal your mind to them. Having opinion means what? You are having it for yourself or you're sharing it with someone.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it like opinions. I would say like, yeah, like even need to make our mind saying that we should stay away from such a circle or such a discussion, not to engage. It's kind of making a decision, right? In terms, it somehow, um,
So, so this is the art. It comes with the practice. With intent practice of bhakti, this comes. Where you have to put a line, and where without you getting, see, all the time, bottom line, your bhakti should not be disturbed at any given cost. So by that practice, and that is your bottom line and top line, then you will see everything else falling within it as a way for you to become more closer to Krishna, and also seeing people through that lens. You won't judge them. We have seen this point. We won't judge them saying that, oh, these people are this. Don't label them, but look them through the modes. These people are in mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. The only talk that they can talk is that can, when they are in mode of passion, what do they speak? They speak all these things that can give them some gratification. In goodness, we know what the qualities they are. Like, you know how people with a mode of goodness interact with you. Ignorance, they are very lazy and indolent and all that. So you see in the modes, through the modes. Sorry, you see through the modes. You won't judge them. You see through the modes. So that way you are saving yourself from judgment. At the same
Yeah.
time, your intention is to safeguard your devotional keeper. Don't judge people, see them through the modes. And
Yeah, because we are also still practitioners and we are also going through this modes very badly.
we
Uh,
we have to
yeah.
identify where we are. So because
Yes, Mataji.
we are unsteady yet in our bhakti sadhana, we don't take interest in these things. We don't judge people for sure, but we don't take
Mm.
interest solely. And
Yeah.
as you become more matured in your practices, then this will become like an art. Your
Mm.
heart will just stop taking interest in such things at some point, wherever it doesn't matter, nothing connected to Krishna consciousness. I
Okay,
hope
thank you, Mataji.
it's an art. It takes time. So you need to practice it. Keep applying these things as you come
Okay,
across
Mataji.
the
Hare
situations.
Krishna.
Yes, Palak.
Mataji, just to double down on this last thing where you said see people through modes, right? Even when we are trying to look at them at through modes, that is again labeling, I feel. Ignorance, goodness, passion, right? But I understand that you're trying to see that don't judge them based on the mode, just label them. So now the question here is that even when I try to just put a understand their mode, the next thing that comes to my mind is if this person is ignorance, I don't want to talk to them because I don't want to hear what they're saying because they also bring me down with them. Right? They are also giving me the kind of thoughts they are having. They are also making me indulge in what they are doing. So slight judgment comes, which basically wants me to move away from them. How do you balance this?
So we have to apply our judgmental skills, right, in our interactions. Who is telling not to use our judgment? We have to use our judgment. That is where your intelligence comes, like what to apply where. And that comes with with your judgmental abilities only. You're able to judge this person is not conducive for my Krishna consciousness. So then what do? Accordingly, you have to act. You're not judging them. Your ultimate aim is to protect your own self, first of all. We are not
Wouldn't
Uttama
it,
Adhikaris, where they come down to meet with people in all levels and say, however they are, they'll go because they have come down. They made a choice to come down and interact with them. They won't get affected. Even if they go sit with them and eat onion, garlic, or even meat, they won't get affected. They are Uttamas.
Hare
We are,
Krishna?
our faith is fragile right now. So we take this Shastra, the principles from Shastra and try to apply in our lives wherever possible. We are not judging them, but my principle is to keep my own sanity in Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna,
Some people have to, then you do that. Yes? Someone said?
yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, I'm sorry for interrupting. I was going to say there's I don't know if you can call it discernment, right? So you're not judging, but your discernment is saying, okay, this is a person that is going to help me in my Krishna consciousness, or this is a person who is not going to help me. You're not judging them, you're just discerning and
Discern.
saying,
Yes, that's the right word, actually. Yeah, discernment.
Thank you for adding, Mataji. Thank you.
Vijan Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. So you have said this statement by Lord Krishna in the slide to Uddhava. Whoever indulges in praising or criticizing qualities and behaviors will quickly become deviated. So sometimes while preaching or while distributing books, we have to praise fellow devotee or even praise ourselves or what we're doing materially so that that person can get attracted to Krishna consciousness. So Such activity will also be considered prajalpa, or if we indulge, then that will be prajalpa.
See, here, this is it's not a, it is in Uddhava Gita, it's not in Bhagavad Gita, this principle. So it's like 201, 301, Krishna consciousness 301, say it like that. So when you become, you have to praise people to bring them to become attracted to the process when you're preaching on the ground. You have to identify their best qualities and you won't criticize them for sure because they'll turn away. But praising them, that can become attract them to the process, then it's 101. Now we are talking about something that you constantly do. You are at a level, but you constantly are indulging in praising someone or criticizing someone. That is not recommended. This is for a practitioner who has considerable maturity in Krishna, in the process, has made some maturity. And that's why it's in Uddhava Gita. It's not in the basic, it's at 11th canto. I hope
Yes.
that clarifies.
Yes. So this my question was, is that a valid thing? For example, Bhaktivedanta Maharaj used to use all his material possessions or his royal clothings and everything just to attract people towards Krishna consciousness. So if we say something about ourselves, our fellow devotee, or present ourselves in a kind of flaunting, I don't think it's a good word or not, manner, so is that also a part of prajalpa, or so it will be a devotional service? How will take it?
Oh, you are flaunting to attract people.
Yes.
Okay. What are you flaunting? So, please give some examples for me.
For example, I'm materially on this level, this position, this and that, um, education, and this education, like that, or something. Someone is from well economic family background, then we say that. So
Yeah, so make a point in the society that I I am having these many qualifications, and you can give instead of your own example that can become like self-aggrandizement or self-glorification. You can give quotes or references from the contemporary devotee community, like such and such is highly qualified, and yet he has become a monk. He has so many resources and he is using all his in the Krishna service. Like that, better to quote other examples than to give our own. And others can do the same for you there. But if you have to say it just for preaching, to making it a point, you can for sure do that for your giving your own example to make a point if the situation requires. Giving
thank you.
other. So not knowing not many details, this is what comes to my mind on this particular point that you are asking. Okay, we'll move on. Niyamagraha, as the definition says, there are accepting things that are accepting things for the material benefit and not accepting things at all. So, like I explained, niyama means rules, agraha means eagerness to accept, agraha means failure to accept. Thus, niyama agraha has two forms: it's niyama agraha and niyama agraha. Coming to niyama agraha, to accept scriptural rules for immediate material benefits such as attaining heaven. So, at the end of every stuti in Bhagavatam also, you will say like Palastuti is there. That Palastuti gives you some material benediction. And we know what is the effect benediction by practicing that for a practitioner or a Krishna, if is a Krishna conscious devotee. But there is a Palastuti, which is a mostly oriented towards materialistic, looks like. So, if you are hung up on that, thinking that you have to only do you are more attached to that particular phala than to getting higher taste, then that is niyama agraha, accepting things for material. To remain overzealous, to adhere to lower rules even after attaining higher qualification, exactly the same thing. Lower rule is you'll get this material prosperity, you go to heaven, you get name, fame, fortune. If that is the palastuti, then that is a lower compared to Krishna consciousness, service at the lotus feet of Krishna. So to accept the rules for the Jnana Shastra are to obtain liberation. So anything that what Jnana Shastras are telling to accept them, that is the Niyama Agraha. Then to be attached to scriptural rules of pragmatism with a desire for sensual enjoyment in this life or the next. So to become attached to some scriptural rule because it is giving you some enjoyment, that is Niyama Agraha. I hope you got the point. Like accepting things because they're giving you some benefit, that is Niyama Agraha. And examples. Yeah, the Palastuti is the thing that comes to my mind. And then Niyama Agraha means to neglect Shastric rules and regulations meant for the development of bhakti. Failure to observe rules such as to nourish bhakti is an observance of firm faith. Examples neglecting weight tilak or wearing tilak only on the forehead, not the other parts of the body, saying that who will see that, right? That's Niyama Agraha. Tulsi Mala, chanting on Japamala. Okay, let me chant on clicker, not on the Japamala. Fast and easy. Eating only prasadam, etc. So that can be neglecting to wear tilaka, neglecting to wear tulsi meat, mala, neglect to chant, or neglecting to eat only prasadam is the Niyama Agraha. Krishna Prema is very rare and cannot be attained by neglecting the basic principles of sadhana bhakti. Mere imitation of prema without taking step by step may give temporary happiness but misery at the end. One has to give up offenses and anarthas. That is what Bhakti Thakur is saying in his Kalyana Kalpataru. Bhakti without following the Shrutis, Smritis, and Puranas and Naraja Pantaratra leads to a disturbance. So these Smriti, Shrutis, and Narada Pancharatra, based on which the temple worship happens, these have to be followed. Thinking that this is our sentiments, the way the devotees, the pujaris conduct aarti, so much of sentimentalism they do, like there's like neglecting that is Niyama Agraha. And all the scriptures, whatever is said in the scriptures and Puranas, thinking that these are all Puranic stories, then that is Niyama Agraha. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, text 23, Krishna is saying, Yashastra ustrijya vartate kamakaratah nasa siddhim avapnoti na sukam na param gatim. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims without either perfection nor happiness nor the supreme whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So one who does not follow these rules and regulations will not get any perfection either in this life or in the next life. This is what Krishna himself is saying. So we have to follow the new rules and regulations as much as they are laid in their right intent in the Shastras. Okay, so then the ultimate principle for us is, ultimate aim of all niyamas is smattavya satatam vishnur vismattavyo najatachut sarve vidhi nishedasyor etayoreva kinkara. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.8. One should always remember Vishnu and never forget him. All injunctions and prohibitions are based on these two principles. So these are the way. If it is bringing us to remembrance of Vishnu, then that is niyama. That is the ultimate purpose of niyamas. So, okay, we'll move on. Janasanga. Janasanga is avoiding bad association. Janasanga refers to associating with the people, association of devotees. Sorry, to avoid the association of devotees and associating with persons not interested in Krishna consciousness, Mayavadis who simply blaspheme devotees, Muktikamis, and Siddhikamis, atheists, worldly and sensualistic persons. You all know the definition of Janasanga. This is to anybody who is taking us away from Krishna consciousness is bad association or unavoidable association. Good association is one should live in the association of Krishna conscious devotees. Srila Narottam Das Thakur sings a bhajan. Tandera charana seve bhakta sane vas. Janme janme hai abhilash. He sings this bhajan, saying that I want to be I want to serve the lotus feet of a pure devotee and live in the association of devotees. Bhakta Sanivas. This is my janame janame hai yehi abhilash. This is my only desire, life after life. So one should live in the association of Krishna conscious devotees and engage in the service of the Lord. Association with those engaged in similar line of business. So why? Because when we, example like a stock exchange person or a Prabhupada's examples. So if you are a trader, if you associate with other traders, you know the art and skills of how to do that, and you become more expert in that. So similarly, if you want to become an expert in devotional service or progress, then you will associate with the devotees of the similar mindset, like-minded people. The last one is Laulya, greed. Now, Laulya means both unsteadiness and greed. Laulya means become wavering as well as greedy. Unsteadiness is the fickleness of the mind and accept different kinds of false doctrines and conclusions. Greed refers to attachment for useless material, sense enjoyment, or worthless opinions. Greedy is unnecessary attachments. Desire for perfection, perfecting mystic yoga, merging into existence of Brahman, attaining whimsical material prosperity. By Prajalpa, one indulges in criticizing sadhus, and by Laulya, one awakens a false taste for false conclusions. Both of these leads to Namaparad. So one should be very careful to avoid them. So the pure definition of this definition of, but we'll come to that point, last point. But let's spend some time. We'll come to this later. I put everything in one place so that I don't miss. So Laulya means to have that greed to acquire material objects. So when you criticize sadhus, you indulge in the criticism. By Prajalpa, you indulge in criticism, right? And by Laulya, so that Laulya will help us to become attached to the false conclusions. Laulya, greed. So, and this will lead to Namaparad, which will lead us to fall down in the material, in the spiritual progress. So Laulyam is the greed to acquire things which are, to accept things, false things. First of all, false things, as well as useless things, excessively. Okay. But what is that we have to do? There is one, in the scripture, it comes as Padyavali, put in by Rupa Goswami, referred in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 870. Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Mati क्रियताम यदि कुतोपि लभ्यते तत्र लौलम अपि मूल्यमेकलम जन्म कोटि शुक्तेन लभ्यते. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. One can be attained only by paying one price, that is intense greed, to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. So intense greed is required in devotional service. Sorry. This is required. This is warranted. Intense greed, if you are able to get it somewhere, you just pay the price and purchase it. But greed for material things will pull us down. Greed for Krishna Bhakti will get us. We should have that greed, that kind of greed. Okay. I want to conclude and then I ask you a few questions. So before we conclude to the last, so what is the sequence of these 6 unfavorable things in this verse? What is the sequence? Atyahara prayasascha prajalpa niyamagraha janasangascha laulyam cha shadbhir bhakti vinashyati. So Rupa Goswami is giving some sequence, but what is the sequence of these unfavorable things? What leads one to the other? What is the starting point?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Text 1 talks literally about all of them. So text 1 says that, basically that a sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, mind demands action, like literally brings you kind of all of them in one text. And then it seems to kind of go, then it separates. These 2 are favorable, these are non-favorable, and sort of like that.
No, my question is within this text, verse 2, there is these are all unfavorable things. Shadbhir bhakti vinashyati. The shadbhir, the 6 types, they will destroy the bhakti. Within these 6, what is the starting one? That is my question. Not in compared to other verses, in this verse itself.
I apologize, Mataji.
Is it greed? Like greed will lead to atyahara, overindulgence, and then overindulgence will lead to over endeavoring. Yes, such. But I don't know about
Any other,
others.
then what is the next sequence?
Atyar is the beginning, right? Phrase starts from tongue. So
Okay. You want to put a sequence then? Same sequence, whatever Rupa Goswami is given?
yeah, so that would be the proper sequence, right?
Oh, okay. So the first point, any more takers? So the first sequence, or the first point is when we associate it with bad association. It all starts with Janasanga. Janasanga automatically leads to what? Prajalpa. Prajalpa leads to Atyahara, leads to Prayasa, leads to Niyamagraha, leads to Laulya. So, Janasanga, when you have bad association, what do you do in the association? You constantly talk Prajalpa. You want some things that are unfavorable for Bhakti. Prajalpa happens. In Prajalpa, oh, I want to acquire that, I want to acquire this. Then you start to think of how to do that Atyahara. Atyahara we saw leads to Prayasa because you want to acquire more, then you will lead or automatically to endeavor. And that in that endeavor, what happens is, okay, this rule is okay not to be followed. I am like too much pressed. I need this. This is okay too if we ignore this rule. Niyamagraha. Laulyam is attaching. One of the other definitions for laulyam is to become attached to false doctrines. Right? It's not just laulyam is intense greed for the material things, but it is different kinds of false doctrines. Like it's okay not to be attached to this rule. That's a big false doctrine or conclusion. So that leads to laulyam. So in that sequence. So if one fails to give up these 6 unfavorable things of bhakti, then one's ability to understand the greatness of Krishna bhakti will be lost. And one will be forever deviated from the path of bhakti. By avoiding these 6 elementary faults, and all enmity will cease between men and animals, capitalists and communists, and so forth. All economic problems or political problems of maladjustment and instability will be solved. One can cultivate such pure consciousness by proper spiritual education and practice. Some takeaway questions for you. Sorry, the repetition is there. I wanted to probably come here. So, some takeaway questions. So what I'm planning to do is to share this document with you all of you in the PDF format in read-only mode, not downloadable probably, not shareable, something like that. It is only for your consumption. Okay. When you view it, you can see it. So I can try to do that. Give me some time for that. Because I understand it's hard to but the exam is very simple in this. The book itself is very heavy. The details in the book is very heavy. The exam will be very simple based on the handbook. You would have seen the questions in the handbook, so it is all on that. So one can easily pass the exam. But to apply these principles, know these principles and apply them, it's very in-depth, right? So I can share this document. I'm working on it on a daily basis almost. So I'll give you to the point that we have completed, but I need some time before I can do that. I'll see what's the best way. So okay, coming back to the questions. So do any of these impediments cause obstacles in your life? Where and when do you encounter these? When are you most threatened by them? Select one impediment, picture yourself exercising a different choice that is more satisfying. What are your thoughts? Do your experience surrender to Krishna. So some things for you to take away and think. Which is the impediment that is affecting you? At what point in your life? You can do that. Nothing to report on anything, but if you want to share any experience, you can share that. So what are these impediments? The six, Atyahara Prayasa, what is that you are most affected by? How is it taking you away from your uh, Krishna conscious practices, from your consciousness of Krishna? And by practicing them, how are you able to surrender to Krishna? So that is something that you can work upon yourself. Okay, concludes our day, our session today. Yes, Shalini.
Madhuri, I have a quick question. There is a verse in Bhagavad Gita. I am forgetting the name of the number of the verse, but the way it goes is that Krishna says everything should be done in moderation, and in the purport, Prabhupada expands that even recreation should be there in moderation. So,
Third chapter. It comes in third chapter. Yuktahara viharasya yukta chetasa karmasu. Some can look it up. Yeah.
so if recreation is also like is also allowed in moderation, then that means watching TV should also be, that's the way I understood it, that watching TV, mundane TV, should also be in the right dose, should be okay. But the way I'm reading it now, okay, that would also count under Prajalpa, correct?
The examples of what Prabhupada gives in that verse is doing picnics with devotees, uh, going to places with devotees and enjoying. That is recreation, he has mentioned. In earlier days, the recreation was also involved with the nature, right? Like going outing, charioting, uh, whatever. Like people used to involve in the recreational activities associated, connected with the nature. These days, our recreation is to watch TV, go on internet. So internet is the bad prajal. It's a bad association. Starting point of bad association is internet. That's what the Shastras say. But it is hard for all of us. We are all can try to reduce the consumption as much as, because that's a starting point, bad association. Yes,
Mhm.
Kanika? Kanika, you have a point or a question?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Mataji, I just had like a observation slash question. I'm almost wondering if like Prabhupada ji kind of like it's this foreshadowing, like he foresaw that this was going to be the problem. So like he designed the morning program, the rules of like 16 malas, because when you're doing the morning program, going to like Bhagavad Gita class or Bhagavatam class, doing all those malas, then really in just practically stand from a practical standpoint, you just have such limited time left in the day, like after you've got like your work to do or your daily chores to do, that you really don't have time for like atyahara prayasa and all of that, like just from a
Exactly.
time I just
Why are
wonder
we
that he that's how he designed
Yes,
it.
yes, exactly. So this Krishna conscious, Prabhupada has distilled all the essence from all the scriptures. And if you follow this process, which is a distilled process, a cream of all the way, the cream of cream. Like if you follow this, you're rest assured that you're not indulging any of this and you're already following what has to be followed and not indulging in what you're not supposed to follow. You follow Prabhupada's regimen. Yeah.
Because all these festivals also like Janmashtami, Radhashtami, Rath Yatra, it just from a time standpoint, if you're really following, like you don't even have to follow the entire rule book of Prabhupada ji, even if you just try. I mean,
Yeah.
at least like there's no time left.
No time left. It's not of the just festival days. That to prepare for the festivals, you need so much of preparation. Like so many days leading
Right.
into festival, you're already engrossed in festival preparation. And what to speak of the day. And after that, oh, so festival after the other. Yeah, if you follow what Prabhupada has given, you are.
Yeah, I just wanted to share or add something to this. So in previous days, my grandfather used to say, even during weddings, the wedding ceremony used to be a night those times. So they had to just pass the whole night, right? And they used to recreate by reading Ramayana, Mahabharata, one after another in groups. So that was a recreation those days. So recreation can be in different ways, right?
Yeah. We are in bad, I mean, can't complain so much, but only if we can have the association of devotees to have this kind of support where we can read, to spend some time together and associate, have prasad, then that's best. See if you can make some arrangements among yourselves, you all these followers here, whoever are in close by places, you can meet regularly. Upcoming verses actually are very nice also to practice like that in this book. Okay, see if we can all associate together in some timely basis. Opinions. Okay, we'll conclude here. Tomorrow, we have to wind up early. It's an important verse also. I think it's good, similar to today's, but tomorrow I have to wind up max by 11:40, 10:40, 10:45. Yeah, cannot go beyond that. So we'll try to cover the subject fully tomorrow and get to the points if at all any, or we can follow up on the next days. Okay, thank you very much. We'll meet. I will conclude here. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha कृपासिन्धुभ्यो पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna everyone.